Good morning. I'm Hassan Giordano, and this is your DMV Daily Dose for Friday, October 18th, 2019.
It's currently clear and 46 degrees in Baltimore. Today's high will be 60 degrees, and the low will be 46.
Maryland Mayor Tawana Gaines is reporting that the city civilian review board leaders pressed for more power to investigate police. Two leaders of Baltimore's Civilian Review Board told a state commission investigating police corruption Thursday that changes are needed to create more robust civilian oversight and to avoid Baltimore Police Department influence in internal investigations. Quote, "We all know the history of police departments investigating themselves. I think we can all agree that they don't do the best job," unquote, says George Button, chairman of the review board, who said to the commission to restore trust in policing in Annapolis on Thursday. The commission sought a briefing about the board, which has faced turmoil in the last couple of years and could be reconfigured entirely by the federal consent decree process. Bridal Pearson, the board's former chair, told commissioners about the need for the board to have more AIR, quote, authority, independence, and resources is what Pearson said AIR stood for. Those are the things that we're lacking. The volunteer panel includes 9 voting members from each of the city's 9 police districts and representatives from the Fraternal Order of Police, Vanguard Justice Society, the ACLU, and NAACP, as well as the Baltimore City Police Commissioner. They review cases alleging police misconduct, including abusive language, excessive force, false arrest, false imprisonment, and harassment. But the Civilian Review Board's impact has been limited. When the board disagrees with a recommendation from the police department's Internal Affairs Division, it is the police commissioner who decides whether further review is needed. The Civilian Review Board doesn't learn of the outcome in those cases or if the board's recommendations for discipline are even heeded, Pearson and Button said. And while Mayor Bernard Jack Young recently moved the panel under the umbrella of his office after a rift and a lawsuit between the board and the city solicitor, the board is still heavily dependent on receiving information from the police department, and being part of the mayor's office could generate challenges in the future, Pearson said. A community oversight task force formed by the consent decree process recommended that the board be free from political influence and independent from any other entity in the city government. Now, Maryland Matters' Bruce DuPont is reporting on the criminal conviction of a former state delegate from Prince George's County, Maryland. Tawana Gaines, the former vice chair of the Powerful Appropriations Committee, who resigned from office in which she held for over 20 years just 2 weeks ago, days before she was charged federally, pleaded guilty yesterday to a single count of wire fraud in U.S. District Court, acknowledging that over a period of several years, she knowingly and willingly violated state law by treating a political campaign account as if it was her own personal slush fund. In all, federal prosecutors told Judge Theodore A. Chung that the Prince George's Democrat used $22,565 in contributions to the Friends of Tawana Gaines campaign account, not as they were intended, to help her win elections, but rather on herself. Assistant U.S. Attorney Thomas Wyndham told the judge that Gaines used the funds to purchase fast food, dental work, hair appointments, a cover for her swimming pool, an Amazon Prime membership, and more. In addition, she transferred campaign funds to her personal bank account and withdrew cash from the campaign account, also in violation of the law, he said. By accepting a plea deal rather than to stand trial, Gaines and her high-profile attorney, William C. Brennan, are hoping for leniency when she is sentenced. Wire fraud carries a possible sentence of 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine, prosecutor said, but under U.S. sentencing guidelines, Gaines faces between 8 and 14 months behind bars. Sentencing has been set for January 3rd, 2020. The Baltimore Brews are reporting that embattled Baltimore City Department of Public Works Director Rudy Chow announced his resignation to be on February 1st, 2020, 9 years after entering city government. Presiding over the city's second largest department behind the police department, Chow was one of the highest paid city employees, bringing home $190,000 in FY19. And while Chow's resignation caught some by surprise, the Brew's Mark Reuter is reporting that he seems to have been pushed out by Mayor Bernard Jack Young, who, according to a Brew source, was sick of the controversy that surrounded Chow. Last month, Chow introduced 14 pages of amendments to a city council water affordability bill that was championed by Mayor Young, only to watch them all get shot down and have a Young ally, Councilwoman Sharon Green Middleton, give him a tongue lashing for what she termed as the agency's delaying tactics. According to the Brew, today's announcement of Chow's resignation was not filled with the customary praise heaped on a high-level department official ready to leave, but instead the final paragraph offered the mayor's thanks to Chow for his service and wished him well and success in future endeavors. However, by not retiring until February 1st, his 9th year as a city employee, Chow will be able to buy his 10th year and be eligible for a city pension. And in a side note, from yesterday's Daily Dose, we received an email from the City Council President's Communications Office, who believes that my characterization of Council President Brandon Scott's letter to Mayor Young regarding having the city spend the estimated $34 million in surplus money on city schools may have been unfair. I strive to give you the news as we see it from either our news outlet or mostly from other surrounding media outlets, and sincerely apologize if I was in some way inaccurate with our coverage yesterday, which was largely based on the words of a close senior advisor to Mayor Young. However, the email in no way contradicted those statements made by that insider, who, if you remember, basically said that Scott's sudden urgency to see this proposed surplus going to city schools is nothing more than a campaign stunt since he recently announced he was running for mayor, and that there had been multiple other surpluses in the years that Scott sat on the city council, and not one time did he ask that those funds be directed to the city's aging school system. But rather, the email in its entirety read like this. Hi, Hassan. I heard your podcast this morning and wanted to follow up on your characterization of the letter that the council president shared with the mayor yesterday morning. The Bureau of Budget Management and Research shared the $34 million surplus projection with the City Council just recently on September 26. This was the first that the City Council learned of the surplus. While this number is unaudited, this is in the ballpark of the surplus that remains in city coffers from FY19. The council president is a strong supporter of the Kerwin Education Commission, but also believes that a one-time surplus could be best used to fulfill an immediate and basic need in our schools. Without adequate AC and heating in our school buildings, our students will continue to miss instructional time year after year. The council president will continue advocating for Baltimore's fair share in the Kerwin Education Commission recommendations and ensuring that the city is prepared to step up its own contributions to city schools. The president introduced a resolution in August calling on the Department of Finance to prepare a fiscal readiness plan for the city in anticipation of the Kerwin recommendations. A hearing for the council president's bill will be held in the Education and Youth Committee on December 3rd, 2019. If you would like to speak to me or the council president about this letter and the phone conversation he had with the mayor about it yesterday, please let me know. The end. Well, I followed up with them immediately, asking for a one-on-one interview with the council president, whether he came to our studios or I would come straight to his office at City Hall. I have yet to hear a response. But mind you, that email in no way contradicts what we said yesterday on the Daily Dose. More to come on this story, I'm sure. And I'm your man, Mr. Politics, and this has been your Daily Dose for Friday, October 18th, 2019. For all your Daily Doses and more on the articles that I've covered, just go to www.dmvdaily.news.